Hello and welcome to the Everyday Adventure Podcast. My name is Nicki and I will be bringing you thoughts, ideas and stories from some incredible guests to hopefully inspire you to live more adventurously in your everyday lives. So this week, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome Kwesia to the show, who is also known as City Girl in Nature. And she started City Girl in Nature as a way of sharing her passion for adventure and the outdoors with her community. Growing up in Southeast London, she navigated many of the challenges that come from living in the area that she grew up in. But when she was given the opportunity to be part of an expedition to the Peruvian Amazon, in her own words, it completely transformed her life. And so I first came across Kwesia when I attended the Adventure Minds conference back in February of last year. So literally just before the first lockdown kicked in. Kwesia was one of the speakers and she spoke sort of quite early on the first day. But it has to be said that out of all of the presentations and talks that were given, of which there were some really incredible speakers, Kwesia's was the one that really stuck with me. It was so personal, so from the heart about her experiences. It offered a completely different perspective to, I think, most of the attendees. And it just showed me the real power that having access to adventure, having access to nature and the outdoor spaces can have to transform. So I was really, really thrilled when Kwesia agreed to come on the show and to speak to me about, first of all, her reasons for founding City Girl in Nature and also about her own experiences of adventure too. So Kwesia, it's wonderful to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to get into this podcast and I'm thrilled to be on your podcast.
Brilliant. So my first question, I've alluded to it slightly in my introduction, but just how did you get started really with outdoor adventures and with your love of the outdoors? Obviously, I mentioned the expedition already, but if you could just tell me a little bit more about how you came to be on that expedition and then what happened as a result of that.
So as you mentioned, I went to the Peruvian Amazon in 2018, and that was a 3-week expedition. How I actually came across British Explorer Society, because that's who I went with, was actually through a youth club. So I was at the time working alongside a project based in Wandsworth called Black Minds Matter, which works with young people trying to develop them as social change leaders. And that was essentially about trying to tackle mental health as well. It was trying to lower the inequalities in the mental health system. So there was like hubs that the project worked with, and one of the hubs was Key's House, which is the youth club. So I was at Key's House, and British Explorer Society, I think it was Matt, he came over and he was like kind of explaining about the opportunity to go on the expedition. There was a choice to go to Yukon, in Canada, I think, and the Himalayas and also the Amazon. So he did a presentation, showed us a video and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is fun, because I had kind of been on sort of adventure stuff in school, like PGL, and stuff like that, but I'd never seen something at this scale, like abroad, and how he was explaining it, as in being remote and being with people you don't know. So it's not with like school friends or anything, it's like a whole different level of things. So I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. I was automatically drawn into it, and I was like, I really want to try this out. So that's how it started, and from there the opportunity came to go to like a practice weekend. I went to the practice weekend, and I suppose this is where all the kind of nerves happened for me, because as I went there was like quite a lot of people and none of them kind of looked like or sounded like me. And that's where all of like the overwhelming feelings came in, and I was like, is this for me? Should I be going? All those types of questions kind of popped up. And then, and I was meant to go away on a holiday that same summer. And I thought, am I really going to sacrifice going on holiday to do something that doesn't even look like it's for me? And then I actually ended up just saying, yeah, I'm not going to let this kind of deter me. Let me just go for it, come out of my comfort zone. And yeah, I went.
I think it's so interesting, isn't it? That moment of sort of hesitation of thinking, actually, like you said, is this really what I want to be doing? Is this for me? And then going, right, I'm going to do it anyway. And so you went, and what was I mean, describe to me the sort of the experience you had on the expedition. What was it then that captured you whilst you were away?
So for me, the experience within itself was amazing because I was with people I don't know, no phones, and people not from my backgrounds mainly. So that in itself was very eye-opening. But the essential thing for me was nature. It was just literally nature. It was very healing and therapeutic, which I didn't realize straight away. It took me some time to actually noticed that that's actually what it was. It was simply nature and being in that environment and actually the exploring side of things. So that's essentially what I'd say it was. Just so we went whilst on expedition, we did 3 tours. So the tours were basically away from our base camp within our group. We would go out and kind of trek and set up camp and would be away from base camp for like 3 days. And during that time, we would trek around the jungle and like just do science projects and stuff like that. And just that in itself was like really empowering, if you want to say. And understanding that there was a world outside of my world kind of thing, that this was happening. And I was like, how did I not know about this? That's what it was kind of like, and actually experiencing it firsthand. Then I'm like, wow, how did I not know about this? All this time I've been playing football on my local roads, street football with my friends playing out. I didn't know like I could be doing this type of stuff. Like I was amazed by it. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Incredible. And then so where did the idea for City Girl in Nature come from? Was that sort of an evolution of what you experienced? How did that idea came about?
So City Girl in Nature, I only came up with it properly last year, December. So the name City Girl in Nature. But the concept of giving back to my community has stuck with me since my return from my expedition. So I was doing other things that had not necessarily to do with outdoors, more what I was used to. So football, young people, just that type of world of empowerment, if you want to say, through sports and through being around my community. But then I realized, especially like through events like where we met, where I spoke at, I realized this world is way bigger than what I thought. There's professionals, there's like there's just so many different types of people here, and I want to be a part of this. And so since that event, in fact, is where it was developing, and I was thinking, wow, like there's something here. There's like a niche kind of thing. There's something here that needs to be addressed, if you want to say. And I was like, what I'm used to, even at that event, is sharing my story. So I'm used to people kind of, before I started City Girl Nature, using my story as an example. So I then kind of flipped that into, okay, people are asking me to do this, so there must be a need here of people understanding that perspective of things. So why do I not use that experience and what I'm already doing and transform it into an actual initiative, if you want to say, to actually use my story and what I'm doing, my journey of trying to encourage other people like me. Why do I not use this as something? And that's how City Girl Nature came about. And I thought, perfect as well. It's in its name. I'm a city girl and I'm in nature. So that's how it came about.
No, absolutely. And I think, even in the name, I mean, I think when I saw you sort of on Instagram and using the City Girl in Nature, and I just thought, it ties so much into, I guess, what I talk about on this show as well, this idea that nature isn't just this big thing out there, that actually it's all around us in all of our environments, and that living in a city often you might have less exposure to that sort of huge green spaces or mountains or hills and that side of things, but that there is so much nature around you within the parks and and I talk about actually just access to even small things in nature can have a real impact on our well-being and on our approach. You spoke about it a little bit at the start, about some of the challenges that you faced in terms of seeing yourself in this space, in terms of feeling like, these sort of, I guess, bigger adventures, that you had a place in that, or that they could be accessed by someone from your background. I just wondered if you could sort of speak a little bit more about that and some of those challenges that you've seen, I suppose, for yourself and that you see for other people you've spoken to as well.
So I'd say with me, myself, actually at the beginning, as I said, I was really nervous, and what it was the fear of being judged. I was really scared, even with starting City Girl Nature, and I've got like a YouTube channel. I was really conscious about the way I speak, and like, are people going to understand me if I start speaking hood, if you want to say, and saying slang stuff like, and like only of recent, even with my channel, I've started to let go of that. But and it's all about just within myself, like trying to overcome that and understand that people want to know you for who you are as well. It's not really about like where you come from or like your life experiences, if you want to say, because nature brings everyone together. The outdoors world, there's not, even though there is like not as diverse as it should be, if you want to say, that it's not excluding. It's like it's for everyone. It's like kind of prejudgments that we've kind of put in our head that it's not for us, and just overcoming that. I'd say that being a challenge is more of a personal thing, I'd say, because that's my own learning experience, because I've seen that it's not that, and it's literally it is for everyone. And as you said, it's not just like going on expeditions and treks and hikes. It is just like walking through your local park and like taking in the nature around you and strolling and just looking at things in awe that, oh wow, look at this tree. Like just, or like when you're going on a normal walk, noticing ladybugs and bees, and especially in summer now, there's so much biodiversity and what's going on around us. So just noticing just like things that you're passing more and being more attentive to the world around you, that is also a part of it, and also what City Girl Nature stands for a bit as well. It's not just about the extreme end, if you want to say. It's also about the other side of the spectrum. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking, because you sort of touched on it, but what have been some of because there's the obvious benefits that are sort of put out there about going on expeditions or spending time with nature, those sort of things. I was just wondering, for you personally, what have been the biggest benefits that you've experienced from either spending more time in nature or just opening up into a different sort of approach? And also through starting City Girl in Nature as well. What has that brought you?
I'd say it's brought me out of my comfort zone, first of all. That's the biggest thing. It's brought me out of my comfort zone, but that coming out of my comfort zone has allowed me to flourish, because essentially I've grown much more being outside of my comfort zone than being scared and afraid, like, oh my days, I can't come out, I got to stay here. Once I've took that step, I've then like been open to a world of opportunities. People reach out to me now. I'm like, before I was kind of like, I think I said this in my when you met me, about my life was chaotic and stuff. Like, moving past that and moving forward, things have now become very clear as well. It's like it brings like a different type of mentality. Your well-being starts being nourished in a different type of way. Your way of thinking, your outlook on the world, it just changes everything. It's just like, I don't even know what the real words are to actually say to you, but it's just like amazing kind of thing. It's just that I don't even know how to put it in words for you, honestly. I'd say it's also awakening, I'd say. Maybe that's the way of putting it. It's awakening. Because growing up in my environment, especially, like seeing estates, like friends being killed and people going to jail and dark stuff, cloudy kind of things. And then to then experience like nature and outdoors, it's like mindfulness. It's like you get that chance to go within yourself and kind of address those kind of traumatic things, if you want to say, because it's normalized as well for my community. Trauma is normalized and it's a thing that we just like take and live with. But then nature and outdoors provides that space to kind of go within yourself and actually address those things, and breathe. Like with yoga, for instance, you get that chance to kind of just breathe in and out, and you actually start seeing things in a different way. Your perception of the world changes, and it's very healing. Like, I'd say it's healing as well. And yeah, I think, does that answer it?
Yes. I mean, there are so many points, gosh, that I could pick up on. I think, your whole point's about sort of that, in a way, the awakening and the clarity that it gets, that, that I guess the magic of the natural world is that it helps take you outside of your head and your everyday lived experience and be able to see things from a different perspective. And I know that's certainly something that people from, all sorts of backgrounds that I speak to can relate to. And obviously, given that, like you said, the trauma that that's been a part of your life for so long, that actually to have a space, from what you're saying, sounds like to have that space where actually there's another option or opportunity or another way of seeing things can
Definitely.
be. Yeah. I mean, I was just wondering, because I know one of your aims with City Girl in Nature is to take that experience and to use that in a way to give back to your community and to open up possibilities in that way. What's your vision? Where would you like to go with this?
So with City Girl in Nature, wow, so in the next month or so, I've got a really exciting project coming up, which I wouldn't say I want to spoil too much, but it's quite exciting because I'm going to kind of allow people to see a different perspective to the outdoors and stuff, more so for my community, but also for people within outdoors already. So letting them see literally what City Girls Nature is about. So cityness, city girlness, if you want to say, and my community. So my friends, my family, and people within my community, and at the same time, professionals and people already that have their own hike groups or stuff like that. So letting people see all of that from the perspective of City Girl Nature, and kind of understanding it all and thinking about how we can change the outdoors world and making it more diversified, and just it will be informative, it will be entertaining, and it will be great. Let me just say that. So yeah, it's gonna kind of capture all of that, and it's gonna be it's gonna be a good project that I'm working on, and should be out by September. So something to kind of look forward to. It's kind of ambiguous what I'm saying right now because you don't actually know what I'm saying.
No, but it sounds exciting. I think if nothing else, it's going to get people really intrigued as to what you've got coming. And
that is what I'm working on right now. And I know it will be really good as well because it speaks to everyone and it's going to be insightful. That's the other thing. It's going to be insightful because no one really gets to see that kind of this perspective, if you want to say. I've seen it personally because I'm living it, but because I don't feel that there's a lot of people out there that can see this perspective. So I want to share it with everyone. So and it will be very informative and insightful, as I'm saying, and entertaining, because there'll probably be some moments that will be funny, like speaking to people that I know that are like on the block And they when I speak to them about nature, they're like, "What are you talking about, man?" Like, so there probably will be funny moments as well within what I'm up to in my project. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I'm up to now. But other than that, I'm going to be speaking with at a workshop, facilitating a workshop, and yeah, that's the main things that I'm doing right now. Moving forward, and obviously coming on your wonderful podcast. I've also done another podcast just before I went to Kenya. So that's a bit about what I'm up to, and still trying to develop my YouTube as well and get more out there. What I really want to do and I aspire to do is actually physically get young people out more into nature as well, from my backgrounds. I'm sure you saw on my Instagram as well. Recently, last week, I went to Dorking and Black Minds Matter crew. They completed their silver Duke of Edinburgh award. So congratulations to everyone on that. So just doing more stuff like that and just enabling people to get those type of opportunities. That was their first time camping for all of them. So
that's incredible.
So yeah.
I'm glad the weather wasn't like it was today for them.
Yeah. To be fair, it was 2 days of sun, 1 day of rain. So
okay, you had a bit of a mix then.
Yeah, so at least it was on the latter end of things, in the sense of 2 days of sun rather than one day. Yeah, because I think the rain helped as well with the experience. You can't have all sun.
You need a bit of it. Yeah, absolutely.
A bit of wet clothes and a bit of go through the mud. So
definitely. Well, I mean, it sounds like you've got a lot of really exciting things coming up. And I think, what comes out for me actually when you're speaking as well is just the passion you have for, the ideas, what you want to take forward for increasing the awareness and increasing the inclusivity in terms of being able to access and feel like you're able to access outdoor spaces, nature, feel that this is something that is much more open than I think often it is portrayed. Mm-hmm. If somebody's listening to this and either they're thinking, the outdoors and nature, that's not really for me, that's not really, my background, or it's not really something that I've been interested in or appeals in any way. Or there's someone who's listening and going, you know what, I'm a bit scared to get started on my own adventure. It's something I'd like to try, but I don't know how. I mean, what's the piece of advice that you would give them?
So I think I've said this a few times already, but I think what essentially is just coming out of your comfort zone. Like, I know it's scary. I know it can be scary, but essentially you're the person that's going to unlock that within you. And that's what life's kind of about, like unlocking your potential, if you want to say, and just taking that step. Like, sometimes in life we kind of feel that we shouldn't, and we think about all the things we can't do, but we don't actually think about, once we do something, how much of an impact it will have on us. We don't really think about that step. It's like in that moment when things are so distressed and it's dark and we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, there is actually a light at the end of the tunnel. So think about that light at the end of the tunnel and think about how much that's going to boost you forward as well. It's hard in the moment, but moving forward, it's always the victory and is always greater than what you're battling before that. So I think that's what the advice I'd give to someone. And I feel that also, if it is such a challenge, you're not alone as well. Like, someone else has gone through this also. So it's not just something you face. Someone's faced what you faced and probably even worse. So just go for it, kind of thing. That's what I'd say.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, and then that's such an important point as well, as it, because like you said, often it is in those moments that we're just like, oh my God, you can't think, you find it really hard to think your way out of it, but also you do feel incredibly alone and like, I'm the only one experiencing this. And that's sort of just reflecting on that and going, okay, I know where I want to get to. I know what this will bring me. But I know that I'm not alone. And I know that so much of the work you're trying to do as well is to help people feel less alone with it too. So if people want to find out about you, your work, where can they go?
So you can visit my website that probably has most of the core information about me, which is www.citygirlnature.com. You can find some pictures there about me, and also my YouTube channel, which is City Girl in Nature, my Instagram, City Girl in Nature, and I have a Twitter account that I'm working on right now. I find Twitter so hard. Like,
you know, me too. Don't worry.
I find Twitter so hard, but I'm getting onto Twitter a bit more. So that's City Girl Nature. So that is also the handle. And I actually have a TikTok now as well, actually, which I'm going to be working on as well. The young people encouraged me. They said this cool and stuff. They said, I know I'm young myself, but like they're younger than me. And they're like, you got to be on TikTok. Yeah. So I got a TikTok now as well.
Brilliant. You know, I think you're literally the first guest I've had on who's mentioned TikTok as a platform. So I will make sure that links up there as well.
TikTok is really fast as well. It's like a fast thing, and it's also entertaining at the same time. So yeah, it's a good medium.
Awesome.
For young people especially.
Yes. I'll have to get my kids to show me. Oh God. That's honestly, that has been so incredible. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. It's been absolutely lovely. And I wish you absolutely all the best with things as they move forward. And hopefully we'll get you back on again in the future to tell us where City Girl and Nature has got to as well. But yeah, take care. Have a wonderful summer.
Thank you so much for having me. And you also. Love always.
Take care. Bye. So I really hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. There was so many different strands and themes that I wanted to pick up on. Sometimes I get frustrated that I limit myself to this length of podcast, but hey, at least it makes sure I get to the point, I guess. So this week, I wanted to revisit the point that we talked about in terms of access to the outdoors, but also we can tend to think of outdoor spaces as being these huge awe-inspiring landscapes. They are mountains, they're the sea, they're beautiful green fields. There's so much that springs to mind. And, I'm equally guilty of this when I'm posting on Instagram. It'll also be big skies and stunning views that I want to share. But actually, the micro aspects of nature are equally as powerful and in some ways really even more uplifting. Much as it is wonderful to see these great landscapes, knowing that nature and adventure is accessible from your front door actually allows you to celebrate it every day and allows everyone to be able to connect and appreciate it. And I know, those moments when I notice a ladybird on a plant, or where I just stop and look up, notice the clouds, notice the weeds that are insistently pushing through my driveway because of the rain, even though I've plucked them out. Actually, that's pretty resilient. And I think offers us a fresh perspective in our immediate surroundings. And I think as importantly, it also means that this way of seeing nature as part of our lives is much more open and inclusive than potentially, if you happen to live near a beautiful place, or you happen to have transport to be able to get there, and you can afford to take a day off work and go off and, go off on a walk and all those things, which are wonderful. But I do sometimes wonder that actually, if we could focus our attention on the natural world that we live in, even though there are so many man-made aspects to that our connection with nature, that our sense that we have a place within it and that the outdoors is for us too, might become even stronger. So I'm going to leave you that thought this week and set you a bit of a challenge as well. If you can get out and just stop for 5-10 seconds and look around you and think about how much nature and what nature you are surrounded with, then, like I said, it can really help to reset your perspective. So I would love to know what you think. As always, please do reach out and get in touch. I'm on Instagram, Resilience at Work. I'm on Facebook, the Everyday Adventure Club. You can find me by my website, resiliencework.co.uk. Feel free to drop me a message from there, or I'm on LinkedIn at Nicki Bass. And if you'd like to leave me a review on your favorite platform, that would be equally amazing too. Always love to hear what you think. Otherwise, in any case, I am going to be back next week with the final episode of season 3, which I can't quite believe I'm saying. How did I get here? But yes, before we break for the summer, I've got one more incredible story, incredible everyday adventurer to share with you. So I really hope you tune back in next week to catch the last episode. And I look forward to speaking to you then. Take care. Bye.